Hello, welcome to Xero Accounting Software. So I'm just going to explain a little bit how cloud accounting works. One of the good things with Xero Cloud Accounting is always available, what it is when you connect to the internet. Some of the things it does to help you, it imports the bank transactions. You can set up a link to your bank and it downloads the transactions. This is great for saving time. It means it's accurate because you don't do any mistypings, and so you'll always know your up-to-date bank balance. So has a customer paid you? You can just go into Xero and check whether the money's coming. One of the other advantages of Xero is the sales invoicing. It's very easy and it emails a very professional looking invoice directly from the software. So as soon as the moment you might be creating your invoice in Word, and then summarising it on a spreadsheet or an accounting package. In Xero, you can actually produce your invoice within the package. When that happens, it updates your accounts automatically. It also goes into what we call the age receivables or age debtors, so you'll be able to see how much money you're owed by your customers. Similarly, on the purchase invoice side, you just enter all the invoices into your system that you get, and you'll know exactly how much you owe at any time. So this definitely speeds up your accounting procedures. One of the other useful things is the dashboard. When you first log in to Xero, you see the dashboard, and on here you have a snapshot of items that are important to you. So it comes with the bank account, which is normally important, and debtors and creditors, which again are normally important. But you can also have accounts that you want to know what they're up to. So often people want to know where their sales are up to in a month. Well, that can show on your dashboard. So it's what's important to you, and that can be tailored to your business. I mean, the good thing about Xero, it is always up to date, or as up to date as you make it, but it is quicker to keep up to date because of the online banking. You can have as many users as you want, which means you can have, and people can have different levels of usage. So at a high level you can see everything, because somebody else might just be entering sales invoices. And there is an option of multi-currency, not in the basic version. For a little bit more a month you can have a multi-currency version. So when you first start with Xero, the setup is absolutely vital, and the more accurate you get it, the better, and that's the same with any accounting package. But with Xero, I always say Xero is forgiving. So if you do put your opening balances in and then there's a change because your accountant's done some changes to your year-end accounts, you can just adjust the entries. You don't have to start using Xero at your year-end, but it is often people's motivation is, oh, we're starting a new year, let's get a new package. So in which case you put your opening balances in from the balance sheet at the date of implementation, and the main things, obviously the bank account, the money you're owed and the money you owe, they're the main ones to get right. Because, for example, the money that you owe, it won't just be a total, you'll list it by customer. So that's the beginning of the control of your debtors. So the more accurate you are, the better it is. I mentioned the bank balance. Now what Xero does, it imports your bank transactions. You set up a bank feed. Now this does vary according to bank, so check first that it will work with your bank. HSBC, it works fine, but it costs you £3 a month. I've used it with RBS, I've used it with Santander and Barclays. I will be using it with NatWest shortly, and I presume it'll work because it's normally the same as RBS. It won't work with a co-op. So when it does that feed, just make sure it's what you expect. I have had some issues on Barclays that sometimes it's missed some transactions. So always also keep an eye on it, because if this import is accurate, it really makes your life so much easier, because you're not having to type that data into your accounts package. It's just appearing and then you decide what to do with it. And keeping your bank right. So it downloads the transactions from your bank statement. When you look at the package, which we're obviously not doing now, we're just talking it through, On the left hand side are the transactions that have been downloaded from the bank. On the right hand side it will either be a blank, or it might be the package has looked at this and said, oh, that's £150 from Mr. Smith. That must match up with that sales invoice from Mr. Smith for £150. So it doesn't do it for you, it suggests what that entry might be. So instead of having to type everything, you just click OK. So when you click OK, it updates the bank account, it updates the customer record, and it just makes it, again, so much quicker. And maybe if it's something that it's wages, you would just post that where you should post it to, but you don't have to type the amounts in. And I always find with Xero, if something seems to take a while or is a bit repetitive, there's often actually a better way of doing it. And with the bank transactions, you can use rules. So for example, you might pay bank charges every month. So you just create a rule and say, when you see bank charges on the bank statement, post it to the bank charges account. It doesn't do it without your OK, but it's there suggested, so you don't have to worry about using the right code. So it is important to understand some accounting, but it does improve your bookkeeping accuracy. And I would say that if you get help setting up, which is something that I can do, you then can be a lot more self-sufficient in keeping control of your own business and the finance. Now, sales, the first thing is, I say, ensure you have a good system to ensure all sales are invoiced. Unless you invoice somebody, they are not going to pay you. So this is nothing to do with Xero, this is how you control what you invoice. I happen to invoice clients on a monthly basis through Xero. I print out my calendar for the month and I just check that each visit to a client is recorded and invoiced. So you just have whatever system suits you, and again, I can help you with that. If you have a new customer, you can actually set the customer up when you're actually setting up the invoice. There's no going off to customer setup screen. You only get the name in, so you have to go and add extra details later, but at least again that speeds things up, so the customer will just be added automatically. Just make sure that you're not entering somebody who's got a slightly different name. Maybe it's HB telephones, and then you put H space B telephones and it's the same customer. But if that happens, you can merge them and just go back to one. So again, if there's something that doesn't seem quite right, Xero will normally find a way of getting around it. The other quite nice thing is you set up your own template for the way the sales invoice looks. And if you, as I had one client, was dealing under two brands through one company, he could brand his invoices differently. And so you set each customer to which brand they wanted to get their invoice as. And the other thing, I think with any accounting package, wherever you can use a default field so that the data is entered for you, it really does help speed up and make more accurate the bookkeeping. Again, this is all down to the setup and something I can help you with. Now, there is something in Xero called inventory, and you tend to think of inventory as an American term for stock. Xero, the basic Xero does not have a full stock system, but what they use the inventory for is a great way to enter descriptions and the codes. So say you have a very long standard sales invoice description, set up a code, SAL1, sales 1, and all that detail will just be typed automatically into your description. You can set up the code it should post to, so if you have a number of different types of sales, you could have SAL1, SAL2, SAL3. They put the description in and they also pick up the code in the accounts where you're going to post to. And the same with VAT. It'll pick up the 20% VAT, or if it's one type of sale you do, and I can't particularly think of a circumstance, but if the one type of sale was zero rated, say you were doing children's clothing, that would automatically, again, you could pick that up. So it's always down to the beginning is thinking how you can use Xero to make your life as easy as possible, because that's what you want from any account, make your life easy. Now on the other side we enter all the purchase invoices, Using the Xero terminology, they call them bills. If you have a regular invoice, these can be repeating bills. So you don't have to type them in every month. It might be something that is always the same every month and it'll just enter into Xero for you. Or it might be the same detail but with a different amount, in which case you can edit the amount. This again speeds things up. And you can use those same inventory codes to save typing long descriptions, pick up the right account code and pick up the VAT code. There is also a purchase order system, which you can then email your orders to suppliers and then just convert to invoices. There is a full range of reports. You can, as one of the options, you can put as a favourite the ones you use most, and these are the ones I use most: profit and loss account, balance sheet, age receivable and age payable. But there are a number of other ones, and the other nice thing is you can be looking at one screen on Xero, say for a client, and you want to do a bit of manipulating with his numbers. Just export the data straight out to Excel and then you can manipulate numbers. So that is very nice, very straightforward to do as well. So moving forward, as I was saying, if you're interested in using Xero, and this is the same for any accounting package, the data produced by it is as good as the data you enter. So start off right, understand what you're doing, take professional advice and get started on the right track. Now what I can do, I can give monthly virtual supervision. So I would normally help a client set up, visit them, work out the systems on Xero and the paper trail around the office as to what happens with things, so we make sure they all go onto Xero. And then available just to keep overseeing it on a monthly basis. I will just check in most weeks and see what you're up to and explain if you've gone wrong. And then there's always an email or a telephone helpline available with me. So I would certainly say if you're looking at new accounting software, do consider Xero, and you can either contact me on the email address there or call me on 0845 164 5015 for more information. Thank you for listening.